Okay, so hello, I'm Miguel Elliott. I'm with Living Earth Structures, and I'm here at Cobb Mountain School, and we're in their beautiful garden. And I've been working the last couple of weeks building this cob oven, right? So this is just earth right from the ground here, mixed with sand. And we had the kids come and put their handprints on. And so we did kind of a fun beehive shape on it. So it's been drying out in the sun for a good solid week or so. And so now I'm going to start plastering it. I'm going to do an earthen plaster. You have a couple options for plaster. You can do a lime plaster, or you can do an earthen plaster. And since the color of the clay here is really nice red color, and it's on Cobb Mountain, I want it to look like a nice, good earthen cob oven. We're going to do an earthen cob plaster. So there's a few different steps involved, and so I'll show you the steps. So the first thing you do is you get the earth. So I just came over here, and this is the earth here that I'm using. And I just dug up this earth. You can see it was very nice and clay. It's nice clay. It's nice kind of reddish brown color. So I put some of the earth into a wheelbarrow, and then got water in the wheelbarrow and got it soaking for about a half hour. And then I also took my drill with a paddle and just kind of mixed it up some, right? And just kind of, softened it. Basically tried to loosen up all the chunks of clay. And so then what I do is I like to use a mud box. So I use a mud box, and I made this screen here. So this is just a wooden frame with some 1/4-inch wire mesh. Actually, this is 1/2-inch wire mesh, and I doubled it up. I kind of like doing that. And so then I take, after this has been soaking for a while, I take this mixture and I pour it into the screen, and then just kind of screen out the rocks. You just want the nice clay to get in there. And then put the excess here. So I think this is enough clay for what we need. And so I did a shake test on this earth here. And so I put the earth into this mason jar, and then shook it up, so you can see the sand in it. There's already a fair amount of sand, so that sand is heavier than the clay. And so the sand sinks to the bottom, see? So like the sand is like to here and the clay is to here. So it seems to me about half and half, about 50% sand, 50% clay, right? And so the ratio you want 70% sand, 30% clay. So I'll add like another, say, 20 to 30% sand to this mix to make it 70% sand. And for an earthen plaster, I can use kind of a fine sand. It doesn't have to be like a coarse sand like you would do for cob. So I'm just using it's called mason sand. You can use play sand also. I think I will actually use some play sand too. So I'll add this sand into the clay. And I'll add another one. Add the play sand. And that should be good there. So now I mix this up with the hoe. So I'll get this all nice and mixed up. You don't want to have too much clay, because then the plaster will crack. So you want to make sure that there is enough sand in there so the plaster won't crack on you. Okay? So that gets mixed up. The next thing I'll be adding is chopped straw. So the chopped straw, so you see how the straw is all nice and chopped. So what I did yesterday was I got wheat straw. I find wheat straw is the easiest to use. I put wheat straw into a garbage can, like a 50-gallon garbage can, cut a hole in the lid of the garbage can, put a weed whacker in there, blended it up, And so basically it was like kind of a big like blender, smoothie kind of thing. And so chopped up the straw into very nice little tiny pieces like this. So this is like the fiber, this is the tensile strength. You know, they say straw is the rebar of natural building. So I'll be adding that, and so I'll be adding probably about all of this straw, probably a whole bag full of straw, into the earthen plaster mixture. So it'll probably be about maybe 10% straw. And then I'll also be adding, this is kind of the gross part, bear with me here. I'll also be adding some of this manure, horse manure. But I'll be squeezing the juices out of it first. That the juices is really what smells. And so now here you just have the fiber. And so there's live enzymes in the manure that actually help to waterproof it. It actually makes it stronger, and it makes it more waterproof, and it makes it just a little stickier. It makes it really nice to work with. But we will be wearing gloves for this. You want to use as green, fresh stuff as you can. You don't want to get the dry stuff, you want to get the nice soft stuff. So this was just from the horse's butt yesterday. So we'll be adding some of this, and not a whole lot, maybe, you know, about this amount, so maybe about 5% of the manure. So that'll be that. And then we'll also be adding the flour paste. Now let me show you the flour paste. So we'll do a little journey over here. So here is my wheat flour station. So what I did, I feel like it's a cooking show. So I got just a cheap flour, white flour. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can even go the cheapest of the cheapest you can find. And so I do 1 part of the flour and then 2 parts water, and just kind of mix that up, right? And then I get 6 parts boiling water. I get this water here boiling, and so I got that nice and hot. And then I added this mixture, the flour water mixture, into the boiling water. And then I just I had it stirring for like 15 minutes, simmering on a low temperature. And so now this is ready. And so I can turn this off. I'll bring this over. So the flour paste, it helps to also make it more waterproof. You can actually seal an oven with flour paste. It's glutinous, you know. It's you can actually even use Elmer's glue. You can use Elmer's glue mixed with water as a sealer. So we're gonna go ahead and add this flour paste. So, you know, for an oven and a base like this is about the size of the plaster you would need. And so I'll pretty much put about that much of the flour paste in. So that'll be nice and make it nice and sticky, make it nice and worked with. And then I'll add this straw. I can tell this is going to be a really nice plaster. And then we'll add our favorite substance here. Go ahead and squeeze out the juices and put this in. And I'm also going to be adding just a touch of linseed oil. I have some linseed oil. I'll be putting in maybe just about a 1/4 cup linseed oil, just a little bit of linseed oil to help to bind the sand and the clay together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix all this together. And then once that's done, then I'll show you how to apply it over the oven. Okay. It mixes all the sand and the straw and the manure and the flour paste and the linseed oil and the clay. Mixes everything all together. Loosens up if there's any clumps of the clay still or clumps of the dung still, it helps to loosen those up. And so I can tell this is going to be a really, really nice mix. The color of this clay is gorgeous. Really like it a lot. And since it has this roof on it, you you know, this oven will last a long time. There's no reason why it shouldn't last forever, kind of thing, you know. And the great thing about Cobb ovens is the more you use them, the stronger they get. All right, so we're going to be getting a fire going in here today too, to just cure it out. So, and actually the way I made this oven was different than a lot of Cobb ovens that are typically done. Was I made adobe bricks, right? So I made trapezoid shaped adobe bricks, and then I formed those into a dome. So I didn't make a sand mold and put the Cobb over the sand mold. I just put the dried, cured adobe bricks right over, and I'm preferring to do ovens that way now, because basically then the oven's essentially already cured, so you don't have to really do a whole lot of curing fires, and there's less cracking that happens too. And so then also before I put this insulation layer on, I put in a coat of burlap. I got burlap, dipped that in a wet clay slip, and put that over the dome, so that if there's any cracking that was happening, the cracking would stop at the burlap and wouldn't spread to the outer layer, right? So it just kind of provides extra tensile strength. So I think this is pretty well mixed up. It feels good. It's not too sticky, but it'll be sticky enough for it to stick to the oven. And you know, this feels nice. This feels like a nice plaster mix. So, okay, so Jenna Flower is going to be helping to plaster this Cobb oven here. So we have a nice plaster mix made up right there, and so we are going to start applying this. All right, so we are about to start plastering our earthen oven here. So first thing you want to do is you want to get it wet. So you want to just kind of wet it down. The plaster will stick a lot better if this is wet. It doesn't have to be a clay slip or anything. It can just be water, it's fine. And probably best to go ahead and start on the top and work your way down, I find, so you don't have drips over what you've just done. So you get an area wet about this much, and then you can take your plaster. This feels really nice, right? So this is the, again, this is the earth, sand, chopped straw, horse manure, flour paste, and a little bit of linseed oil. And you would then smooth it out with this little hummus lid. You get a yogurt lid, sour cream, we use hummus. You kind of smooth it out with that. This is probably a little too soon. It's probably a little too wet to do this quite yet. I would probably let it set up a little bit before doing that. So, but yeah, this is super fun. Earthen plasters are really, really fun to work with, I find. Yeah, so I'll just do a little section here you can watch. So you can't really use a trowel with an oven because it's way too curvy. You know, for the flat part of the oven, you can use a trowel, but for this curved part, you know, hands really are the best tools to use. And then often will dip my hands in the water to help smooth it out. And sometimes you'll find little clumps of straw. You just gotta take those out.
Get this wet here so we can plaster this area. There you go. Now I can use it.
Want to put one like right here?
It's so beautiful. Nice is fun.
Oh, here's like the top that looks like a big Adams.
It smells like red glitter.
Yeah.
It's called to be hard.
Okay, you're on. Okay, then you're
Don't throw it, okay?
Here is the completed Cobb oven at Cobb Mountain School with a nice earthen plaster on it and beads embedded. I hope you have enjoyed this video.